Hi readers, welcome back to my channel, Lila Wanders and Reads. Lee here for what will be a very short video because I spent most of my weekend studying and didn't get this out. So I did not read anything for leisure. All my reading this week was for school, and I had a big essay due, 750 words or so. So that was what most of my reading was about this week. Now, I want to give you a throwback to last year when I read William Shirer's Berlin Diary. Fascinating read, very interesting, loved it. But there's a part in here, in the book, where Shirer says that it didn't look like the French had any defense at all, and that, they just laid down their arms and gave up. Well, I immediately went out and bought like 4 books about France and the fall of France because I wanted to know if that was true. And, funnily enough, one of the essay options was on France's preparation for a war with Germany. And those books finally came in handy. When I was in school, I'm not sure if I was taught this or if it was a takeaway, but I always thought that the French relied too much on the Maginot Line, and that the Maginot Line was the entire reason for the fall of France. That was wrong. Again, I don't know if I was taught it or that was just the assumption, but in my reading, I read a lot of excerpts from Julian Jackson's The Fall of France, the Nazi Invasion of 1940. And my takeaway this time was that it was not the Maginot Line. The Maginot Line worked as it was supposed to, but it was more 2 things. One, the assumption that Germany would do the same thing they did in World War I with the Schlieffen Plan, and they almost did, except there was a plane crash and some invasion plans got leaked to the Allies, and so they had to change the plan. And France was still, reacting to the Schlieffen Plan, and they did not have, their doctrine was so immovable or inflexible that they couldn't react in time. And when they realized what was going on, again, it was just too late. So this was very interesting. I loved doing this paper. I loved reading excerpts from this book, and I just really had a great time with that. Let me look at something that a perspective I hadn't thought of before. Finally, what is going on with this lip gloss? Emergency blot alert. Finally, I am trying to figure out a way to sneak in some leisure reading, especially because my goal is 1 book per month. And this book for book club, it's Black History Month, and we are reading A Girl Within a Girl Within a Girl by Nanda Reddy. I've had this book for a long time sitting on my shelf, which is why I voted for it. And in this, on an ordinary day in an upscale Atlanta suburb, Maya is making breakfast for her 2 sons when her husband drops a letter on the counter and asks a devastating question. Who is Sonny? As she frantically weighs the impact of the truth on her future, Maya relives the details of her childhood journey from America from Guyana and the traumatic events that forced her to leave her past behind. Through the eyes of Maya's innocent and scared younger self, we discover the power of hope, empathy, and the possibility of beginning again. So, I'm going to try to begin this week. No, I've got an exam, so I'll probably try to begin it next week. And I will let you know what I think about it. I'll finish it before the end of the month. And I'm going to wrap this up now because it's Monday morning and I'm working from home because we got a lot of snow this weekend. So I need to wrap this up and get to work. Anywho, if you stuck with me this long, as always, thank you for sticking with me on my journey, and happy reading.